What's up, guys? Earl at Sumo Bully Kennels back at you with another one. Happy Tuesday. We're still in January. Everyone's sad. Winter just will not go away and it's taking forever. However, wanted to get after it tonight because I'm in the mood. And this is a question I get a lot. Question I get asked a lot, right? For different people, it's what do puppies cost? What should they pay for a puppy? And on the breeder side, what should they sell their puppies for? Right? It's oftentimes when you get into this industry, everyone talks about the blood, the structure, the color, right? The type, the conformation, show stuff, breeding stuff, the technicalities of what it is. And a lot of people invest into a bloodline, right, for the name recognition, thinking that that's what's going to add value to their yard. And there is a little bit of truth to that. However, it's not all the way true, because the value really of anyone's yard, regardless of what bloodline you have, is the person running the program. And the person running the program is what's in between the two ears, right here. And so, again, this episode here is about the dog breeding business. What should you buy a puppy for, and what should you charge for a puppy? And I'd love to answer that question. However, there's so many variables, right? So I'm going to answer this question the best way I can. And in order for me to do that, we're going to get back into the classroom, right? I did a classroom episode of the cost of holding dogs, acquiring dogs, and what the costs truly are as a breeder. So I'm going to kind of revisit that as I attempt to explain this age-old answer of the value of a dog, right? And hopefully at the end of this episode, if you're a buyer, you'll understand what you should pay for a dog. And if you're a breeder, what you should be charging to sell a dog, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to take the screen down and we're going to walk into the classroom virtually. But before that, I'll have a drink. That's a good whiskey. Here we go. Classroom time. There it is, guys. See the spreadsheet? How much should puppies cost? What should breeders charge for their puppies? And this episode is inspired by a lot of you guys who message me on the side and reach out to me, and I want to help you as best as I can. However, it's a lot to explain, and so I wanted to do an episode on it. So without further ado, guys, let me stop talking around it. Okay, expense year one, you're buying a puppy for the purpose of breeding. We're going to conservatively put that at $5,000 right here. Right? That's a good quality breed, quality dog, and I'm not going to harp on that, right? You can buy puppies for a lot more than that, or maybe a few dollars less. Shots year one is $1,000. Crop $600. If some places more expensive, some places cheaper. We're going to use $600 as a medium price. Housing and toys, $500. That's the crate, because your dog should have its own place. Toys, tug toys, collars, fancy chains, and all that stuff that we buy our dogs. Food and utilities, I think, is one that's very underrated. And so we feed our dogs raw, and we supplement with New Joint Plus and New Vet Plus. On top of that, it's per dog whatever their requirements and needs are as they grow. So $200 a month, I think, is a respectable value for a high value, high bloodline dog that you plan on using into your program. Pardon me. DNA health testing, embark. I always embark all our dogs. Registration, $50. That's ABKC if you're not familiar, or a similar, registration, dog registration place. To get that dog to you can be, in the intercontinental US is $750. International can be $4,000, and I spent $5,000 to get my dog. One dog, right? Because I did international and then local intercontinental US. So please, if you haven't already seen it, go back to that episode. It's a really good one. And I really don't want to harp on this, but I need to kind of review this for a minute or two. Year one total, $10,450 is the cost of admission, the cost of ownership, right? Can't breed the dog. Our dog can go into heat 6, 7, 8, 9, even 11 months old, right? For us, because we're in the XL lane. And these dogs grow very big, and sometimes they go into heat a little bit later. So now you're hitting year two, right? What does year two cost? Okay, so repro cost, right? What's that? That's repro cost is progesterone testing, reverse progesterone testing, and let's say an AI or a TCI. Put that at $1,000. That covers your gas to drive there and your time and all that stuff. Shots $250 for your annual stud fee. Go medium range of $5,000. Now, in the XL lane for a big name dog that's got the phenotype and petted up, you're paying $10,000, $7 to $10,000, somewhere around there. If you pay $5,000, you're probably doing a pup back deal. That's the reality of it. I'm not even going to talk around that. Again, feeding that dog and giving it the proper care, nutrition, and everything it may or may not need. I'm going to just budget that at $200 a month, giving you $2,400 a year. And that's actually a generous budget, right, for one dog. However, I'd rather provide a generous budget than to lowball it and have budgetary issues. Whelping, let's just round that off to $4,000, right? So your year two total is $14,150. Your year one is $10,450, right? You follow me? So we're $24,600. I'm not trying to speedball through it. However, I wanted to cover these costs. Now, what people don't look at is the intangible cost per year, which is marketing. This whole chart here, 2 hours weekly, which is very conservative. 52 weeks year round, you're on it. If you paid yourself $20, it costs you $2,080. Research and development, right? Because you got to stay up to speed with what's going on, the current state of the industry. You got to stay cutting edge. So you should be investing 100 hours a year, basically, for this. Which, if you paid yourself $20, would be $2,000. Daily feed care, food, feeding, poop pickup, 365 days a year, at 2 hours daily, right? And that's, again, depends how many dogs you have, to spend 2 hours a day with your dogs to pick up food and feed them. Very conservative number, right? Which comes out to $14,600, right? No one's paying you to do that. You do that out of passion. Emergency medical reserve, you should always have $1,500 for every dog every year, just in case something happens, right? Dog care when you go on vacation should be $1,500. You leave for 2 weeks, 10 days. Should pay someone to take care of your dog, someone to be responsible, someone who understands what you're doing and has a deep knowledge of dogs, so that you don't come back to a surprise or a phone call while you're on vacation and something's happening on your yard. Weekly photos and videos if weather permits. 2 hours weekly, very conservative, right? 52 weeks a year times 20, 104 hours, $2,080. And you couldn't pay a photographer to come there every week for 2 hours at $20 an hour. Sorry, guys. That's the reality, right? Your business setup, bank accounts, tax ID numbers. If you're going to set up a website, I put that at $1,500, which is very conservative. Insurance for your property, for your dogs and your program is optional. So we'll leave no number there. Social media, big one, because that is one of your main keys of promotion. 2 hours weekly times 52 at $20, 104 hours times 20 equals 2,080. Communication, 2 hours weekly. That's very conservative. And what is that? That's calling your your breeder, that's calling your vet, that's calling your dog transporter, networking with other people. I mean, 2 hours a week is very conservative, right? And again, 104 hours. If you paid yourself $20 an hour, it'd come out to $2,080, and you'll never stop doing that, right? Communication, networking are very closely tied to each other. That's why I doubled down on it. Reality is that's pretty accurate. 2 to 4 hours a week on that. Giving you a grand total if you paid yourself and worked for somebody to do all these things at $20 an hour, $31,500, right? So if you paid someone to do all these things for you and you just paid them as a full-time employee, $20 an hour, it would cost you $31,500. That's without FICA, FUTA, SUTA, or workman's comp, right? So if you're a business and you're paying workman's comp and everything else, you're probably at least another 10% on top of this, 10 to 12%, which would put you at $36,000, $37,000. Whoo! Okay. You guys still with me? Now let's go. You combine your year one cost, your year two cost, with your intangible cost, right? The reason why I call it an intangible is, let's say you're just starting and you, your wife, your kids, your brother, whoever it is in your family is helping you with this, and no one's getting paid, but somebody is doing the work. The reality is this work needs to get done. Now, whether you pay someone or not, or you do it yourself or not, there's still a time value to this, and time is equated to money. Because if you paid an employee per hour, you would have to pay them whatever amount of hours that they put in. That's the reality of things, right? So your complete intangible cost after 2 years is year one plus year two plus your intangible cost gives a grand total for the first year of $66,550. Now let's answer some questions, right? Here we go. So here we go. Projected sales. You're in your second year. Maybe you take your girl on the first heat. She's right around 18 months, close to that 2-year mark. First litter. And we're going to price this litter, right, at roughly $30,000. I'm going to do 6 pups. Let's say one is a pet home and one you keep is your keeper. So you're selling 6 pups. Here it is. 7, 5, 3,500. 7, 5, 3,500. That gross sale total gives you $31,000, right? Your total expense is $66,550. We just determined that, right? Giving you a gross profit of negative $35,550 on your first litter. So, you still want to get into dog breeding. Okay, it's not the end of the road. Let's keep working it, right? So 6 months after that, she can have another litter, right? And we're gonna stick with that same 6 formula. 7, 5, 35, 7, 5, 35. Right? Those are medial numbers. I'm not saying you can't get more, but you can certainly get less. So now your gross sale is at $31,000. Your total expense for this same year two, right, is $14,150. Right? Because you've done all the work above, so you don't have to add all those costs. So now your gross profit after your second litter is $16,850. Like, whoa, maybe I should do this, right? Sounds like you're seeing potential, right? As a dog breeder and as a dog breeding business, it's starting to make more sense and show more clarity, right? Now, Projected sales of year 2, 2.5, right? Just under 3 years. Your third litter, we're going to stick with the same pricing, right? Your total expense is going to be the same year, $14,150. And you have another gross profit of $16,850. And you're like, wow, I'm positive now, right? And this is a good illustration to shed light on the numbers for what we do, and also for people who are buying dogs, right? So you think that, okay, so what happens? Let's say, they say you should breed a girl only 3 to 4 times. So let's be conservative and say 3. Well, you bought a puppy, you started breeding her at 18 months, let's say a little over 18 months. We're 3 litters in. And this is what it looks like. That first litter, you're negative 35,550. Second litter, you're positive 16,850. Third litter, you're positive 16,850. Here it is. You ready? Total revenue after 3 litters, you're negative $1,850. Based on these 3 sales and what it cost you to have these dogs. Now, I'll say it again. Total revenue after 3 litters is negative $1,850. And you had to fight and scratch to care for these dogs, breed them, make sure they take, whelp litters, everything, find buyers for your dogs. But now if you didn't do the math and you're just looking at per year, I made $16,000, on a second and third breeding. But you didn't look at what you were negative on the first one. So at the end of this, based on this model, you're negative $1,850. Now here's some notable mentions, right? What about a budget for facility updates? What about inflation of food cost? What about inflation of cost of living? What about equipment investment, right? You want to get your own progesterone machine and all this stuff, right? Centrifuge, all these things we geek out over as dog breeders because we want to be, we want to really master our craft. What about if you had to move because now you have more dogs than what your current situation can accommodate? Sorry. We did not account for these 5 things. So how appealing is it to get into this industry, right? And the reality is, if you're watching this, how many $7,000 dogs have you sold? Or $5,000 dogs? Or $3,500 dogs? Or a $1,500, let's just say, pet home? Or you kept a bunch of dogs that you probably shouldn't even kept because you got to keep your camp moving. So after 3 years, whatever you do, right here, we're at a negative. So there's no way you could have done this and supported yourself or your family. So you must work another job. And if you work another job, you're working at least 40 hours a week. And the revenue you make from being an employee or maybe a small business, you're supporting your hobby is what it becomes. Because I just showed you in 3 years, if you sold 18 puppies at this price point, that you're negative $1,850. Now, let's say you're a sharp guy, okay? And this goes for both buyers and sellers. Okay, you bought your puppy for less, let's say. You did your own shots, fraction of the cost. Okay, the crop, you got a really great deal because you know somebody. Food, you feed kibble, the cheapest thing you can buy at Walmart or wherever, Costco. So you cut this in half. You're not DNA health testing because you don't have the budget for it. You got to register your dogs because otherwise the dogs don't come with paperwork. and let's say you didn't pay the transport because you figured, you know what, I'm just going to gas up and pick up my own dog in the US, that would significantly change everything I just showed you. However, what kind of dog are you getting depending on the lane you're in? Unless you really, really know somebody in their family member, a quality dog for less than $5,000. I haven't seen one yet. I haven't bought one yet. Sorry. That's just my experience, and I got to share it. Shots. There are a lot of places online where I can buy medical stuff for dogs and get shots, right? And just put them in the dog and shoot them up. Because, yeah, if the dog weighs X amount, then you put him this amount, and at this age, you shoot him up with whatever, A, B, and C booster, right? The reality is I didn't spend 10 years in school as a vet. And so why would I take a $5,000 to $10,000 puppy? Okay, let me explain this to you. I got a $10,000 puppy. Now I'm going to cheap out and spend $150 online to get some medication and shoot it into my puppy because I want to be cheap and save money, right? I'm not going to risk that. I'm sorry. I'm going to take my dog to a professional who spent the last 6, 7, 8, 10 years in school to do what they do to take care of my investment. Because I'm not a vet. And I'm not going to play around and take the chance of my dog getting sick or dying. Sorry. It's just not, that's not a tangible decision for me as a business owner. Okay? Food-wise, I follow the food recalls because I want to feed my dogs the best. Therefore, I do my research on a lot of dog foods, dog brands. I'm not going to name them because I'm not here for that. I'm not here to bash kibble or any other dog food. But after my research, this is why I put this $200 a month, because I spend it on the best vitamins and care. And I spent every other Saturday grinding for 6 to 8 hours. So I know my dogs are getting FDA approved human grade, human consumable food, right? That I can just grind and eat myself. Because if I won't get sick from it, neither will my dog. And that's why I put that number at this, right? DNA health test. Am I going to cheap out on this $150 on a $5,000 or $10,000 dog? No. If the dog's unfit, I'm going to call the breeder and return it. Refund my money or do right by me. I'm sorry. That's not cool, right? Registration I can't get around because if the dog's not registered, there's no paperwork, you can't verify anything. Dog transport, you can work around. And I just did an episode on that, on what it costs. So did I really save money going to get my dog, or should I have just paid a professional? So you see what I'm saying, guys? So I'll pause right there in a classroom perspective. You know, I'll insert myself into the conversation that if you call me with the kind of dogs I have, and if you followed my channel and understand what you're trying to buy, you wouldn't insult my prices. Because you understand how committed I am to this, and the time, the effort, the research, the resources, and the capital that I put into this to have a reputable program and provide you with quality dogs. Our conversation probably wouldn't be long because I'm not here to argue with anyone. You'll either understand the value or you don't. And I'm good with that either way, right? You know, value is in the eye of the beholder. So, you know, what do you price your dogs at? What should you pay for a dog? Well, it depends. If you have $500 to buy a dog, go on Craigslist. You're going to get an unpapered dog. You know, you don't know what the health is. The genetic health testing is. They feed the dog whatever they feed them. Is that dog getting the best care, the best facility, the best treatment and everything? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe the person you're buying from is a philanthropist and really is not in it for the money and just loves doing it and wants to give you a pretty much a free dog, even though it costs them 10 times the amount to even keep the dog and produce the dog. It doesn't make sense because from a mathematical standpoint, right, you can't keep adding math and going negative, 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 negative. You have to be positive, right? And this is for me as a person who's purchased dogs and also as a person who's breeding and selling dogs, is that a person that's going to buy a Sumo Bully Kennels dog believes in what I do, believes in the value that I built, understands the mindset that I do to operate this, to invest in the quality dogs to produce a even better dog. And these numbers are by far not exaggerated at all. And we have a lot of dogs on the yard, and I could tell you from my own experience. And so, dog pricing, if you don't know what you're pricing your product at, the first thing you got to understand, right, is what it costs you to produce the product. So let's say, I don't know, a soda, a name brand soda, right, per can. You go to the gas station, it costs you $1.50. You go to the grocery, it costs you $1. You go to, a wholesale warehouse store, it costs you 75 cents, right? What does it cost that person to produce those cans of soda, right? And to put it on a shelf for you. And if that company has not been profitable in doing so, they wouldn't be around to provide you the quality of that soda that you enjoy so much with your meals or to relax or, with your dessert or with your snacks, whatever you may call it. So I'm trying to connect the cost of the industry versus what you should charge versus what you should buy for, right? Because everything, has a perspective. So if you're in this lane, there's dogs out there that their stud fee is $10,000. If you get an early lock-in, you might get lucky. Early lock-ins, a dog that's 12 months, is $5,000 for early lock-in. You're going to drop a deposit and not even use that dog yet. And this is the craziest part, right? I'm going to talk about things that people don't talk about. You comment on my channel, say, hey, my dog's slight east-west. Or, hey, whatever, you don't like the color of my dog. Or that I should be giving my dog A, B, and C. But the reality is most people have not done a spreadsheet like this, don't understand even where they personally stand to even comment. And I respect the comments, guys. I'm not mad at it. Please do. Please comment. Call me out on it. I'm with it. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to learn, right? Because I feel like with what I understand and what I analyze over, I'm going to share with you to help you. And now if you see something that maybe, hey, man, Earl barely touches on this or it's not even on his radar, it really helps me. And so I'm very thankful for the comments. I don't view them as good, better, and different. I look at them as input, as data that I have to analyze and make sure that it's not something that I overlooked. So with that said, I don't want to kind of just keep going with the topic, but the reality is this is what it looks like. People hyper breeding And there's a ton of people behind it to buy it, right? What's the value of it? For me, it's what's the value, what's the holding cost, what are the dogs worth? How deep are the pedigrees? Because the pedigrees do make a difference, guys. In order to hit a second, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation, it's a lot of work and a lot of capital invested. And it's really about us, about buyers respecting sellers, about sellers respecting their own process and their, in the industry. I'm dropping this episode that it may help a buyer understand the buying process and the cost of getting into this. I dropped this episode also to help people who are having litters and selling dogs, right? If you're just putting a number behind a dog because that's what makes you feel good, you may want to revisit that, because the value of anything that we sell or produce has a cost association, right? I'll explain that one, right? To produce that soda, you have the liquids, the chemistry, you have the can, you have the labeling, you have the sticker, you have the packaging, the shipping cost. In order to get that soda to the store in front of you, wherever is close to you, so you can purchase that soda for consumption, right? What is the cost of it for the person providing you that soda? And what does it cost you to invest in that soda and consume it as a consumer, right? I'm trying to do this on both sides and not be biased, guys. So, people who have reached out to me that I do connect with, they understand the value of things. They really do. And for you guys who ask me questions, well, again, I'm here to help, right? And I want that same help back from other people when I need help. And so what I do is reciprocate it. So with that said, guys, understanding the cost and value in the industry is very, very important. Buyers, be respectful of your sellers, and I'm not saying that some sellers overprice their products. Some may or may not. But as a buyer, okay, so I'll give you the buyer's perspective. I'll look at how deep the pedigrees are. I'll look at where the dogs come from, right? What does it cost for them to, produce this dog and deliver it for mass consumption? Is it fair market price? Or is it fluff, right? Because if you ask any breeder, they're going to tell, oh, yeah, I feed all raw. I give them steroids. I give them the best, vitamins ever in the whole world. And, my program is second to none. And you know what? I believe that to be a fallacy. I bought a lot of dogs. I've been to a lot of camps. I've seen dogs. Sometimes people embellish and don't practice what they preach. If you're that person as a breeder, man, check yourself. Don't lie, man. Tell it for what it is. If I don't know something, I'll be honest about it. And, there's no shame in that. But oftentimes we embellish and make ourselves out to be something we're not. When the reality is, you can see it. I don't care what you tell me you feed your dog, right? You can tell me you feed your dog Kobe beef. He only eats Angus grade A beef. Cool. Let me see the poo. Right? Let me see the dog, the poo of that dog. Let me smell that dog. I'll tell you, you're lying. Why? Because I feed my dogs all raw. I know what the poo looks like. I know what they smell like. Let me see how gassy your dog is. And I'll tell you, you're feeding kibble 90% of the time. Listen, you can't con a con artist. You understand what I'm saying? You can tell a narrative of what it is. But to someone who does it every day and picks up poo every day and washes their dogs and cleans facility, you can't tell me. I'm not going for it, number one, because I know what it is. See, so when you connect with a person like me, there's no way. Sorry, not going for it. Now, with that being said, there's just different levels to this thing, and understanding that being respectful of that. Everything does cost time and money. And in order to be a breeder, money is one motivating factor. But the reality is, if you don't love dogs or this breed, you're not going to make it. I'm sorry. This is a lot. Like, this comes with a lot of extras. It's not just like, oh, I buy this dog A and breed it to dog B, and yeah, I'm going to sell these puppies for $1 billion. It doesn't work that way, guys. I promise you, there's a lot in between. A lot of, and if you don't love the dogs, you're not going to be able to get past it. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm good. I had my taste. It was fun. I'm out. Not my thing. So for us, this is a commitment. This is a lifestyle. And just loving dogs and falling in love with this breed, getting into it, it's been very rewarding. I've met so many good people and communicate with so many great people out there that reach out to us on the channel, that I want to end this segment by saying thank you, genuinely. Thank you so much for commenting, for messaging me on the side, for DMing me. I've helped a lot of people, and a lot of people have helped me, right? It's kind of that flow. And that's why we share this content. That's why we want to talk about things that are not commonly talked about. We could talk about color and how to make merle, or how to make gray, or how to make purple. Or, if you take a muscle dog here, a muscle dog there, in theory, the puppy should be muscled up, right? Come on, man. You serious? That's like the most entry-level conversation that you can have when it comes to this. And so tap in. If you haven't already done so and you're watching this episode, which you should, because this is a fire episode, like, subscribe, share it with somebody, because we're here to share our journey and share the truth, with no frills and no glamour behind it, other than to be genuine and be genuinely thankful. We started this thing with 3 followers or something like that, or 3 subscribers, with barely anyone watching it. And in the last 4.5, 5 months, so many of you guys have tapped in and subscribed and watched our channel that it truly is inspiring. And it makes you feel good as a person, dropping content, to see that people find value in it, right? Because what I want to do is share the things that no one told me when I got interested in it. Like, oh, this is the best blood, that's the best blood, and yada, yada, yada. Well, tell you what, there's a lot of great blood out there. It's about what you like. It's not like, oh, one person has the best blood and whatever. No, there's a ton of amazing dogs out there. And I'm a fan of a lot of these people out there, these dogs, breeders, and I say it all the time. So with that said, guys, Earl Assumably Kennels staying up on a Tuesday night because of you guys, because you guys inspired me to drop this episode. You guys got me all crazy. I'm like, you know what? Let's go back to the classroom, right? So one time, I'm going to X this out. We're in the classroom. We're going to leave the classroom now. Now it's time to go to recess or whatever. So until the next one, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.